Good morning, my friends. 6 rules of success. Success is not accidental. It's not something handed to you, nor is it merely the consequence of luck. It is something you build deliberately, painstakingly through effort, discipline, and an uncompromising commitment to responsibility. Many people wander through life aimlessly, hoping that success will somehow find them. It won't. If you want to succeed, you must live by principles that structure your actions and guide your decisions. Here are 6 rules that will shape your path toward meaningful achievement. Responsibility is the foundation upon which success is built. Without it, there is no progress, no growth, and no ability to shape one's own destiny. The moment you refuse to take responsibility for your circumstances, you surrender control over your life. People often look for external factors to blame when things go wrong: society, their upbringing, their environment, or sheer bad luck. While external forces do play a role in shaping one's reality, dwelling on them without acknowledging personal agency leads only to stagnation. A person who takes full responsibility for their life understands that, regardless of what has happened in the past, the future is shaped by their actions in the present. This mindset is not about self-blame, it is about self-empowerment. It is about recognizing that even in the face of adversity, there is always something that can be done. This realization is what separates those who achieve from those who remain stuck. Taking responsibility means acknowledging that the world is not fair, but refusing to use that as an excuse to do nothing. It means recognizing one's own faults and limitations while actively working to overcome them. One of the most common traps people fall into is the belief that their failures are entirely someone else's fault. This kind of thinking is seductive because it absolves them of the need to change. If everything bad in life is the fault of others, then there is no need to improve, no reason to develop discipline, no obligation to become stronger. But this is a delusion that leads only to resentment and bitterness. The truth is that every individual, regardless of their circumstances, has areas in their life they can control. It may not be everything, but it is always something. Those who focus on what they can control inevitably move forward. Taking responsibility also means setting clear goals and following through on them. It is easy to dream of success, but without commitment to action, dreams remain fantasies. A responsible person does not wait for motivation to strike. They act despite uncertainty and discomfort. They do what needs to be done even when they do not feel like doing it. This is the essence of discipline, the ability to act in pursuit of long-term success rather than short-term comfort. When responsibility is embraced fully, it becomes the driving force behind self-improvement, resilience, and ultimately success. Truth is the foundation of a stable and meaningful life. When you speak the truth, you align yourself with reality, and reality is something you can rely on. Lies, on the other hand, create an unstable structure, a fragile illusion that eventually collapses under its own weight. People often lie to avoid conflict, to manipulate outcomes, or to make themselves appear better than they are. But every falsehood, no matter how small, erodes the integrity of the person who speaks it. Lies multiply, and with each one, reality becomes harder to navigate, leading to confusion, uncertainty, and ultimately, self-destruction. One of the most dangerous forms of deception is self-deception. People lie to themselves all the time about their capabilities, their weaknesses, their intentions, and their responsibilities. They convince themselves that their failures are beyond their control, that their bad habits are justified, and that they are victims of forces too great to overcome. This type of dishonesty is particularly insidious because it creates a distorted worldview where improvement seems impossible. The longer a person deceives themselves, the more disconnected they become from reality, making it nearly impossible to make genuine progress. Speaking the truth requires courage because it often brings discomfort. People who tell the truth risk offending others, being judged, or facing immediate consequences they would rather avoid. But avoidance only makes things worse in the long run. Difficult conversations become even more difficult the longer they are postponed. Problems that could have been solved early become crises. Relationships built on dishonesty eventually crumble under the weight of unspoken resentments and hidden truths. Truth, even when painful, is always preferable to the slow decay caused by deception. Truth also strengthens a person's character. When someone consistently speaks the truth, they develop a sense of self-respect. They become someone who can be trusted both by others and by themselves. Their words carry weight because they do not manipulate or distort reality for personal gain. They stand by their principles, and as a result, they become stronger, People who embrace truthfulness do not need to remember which lies they told or constantly adjust their narratives. They are free from the exhausting burden of maintaining falsehoods, and this freedom allows them to focus on what truly matters. There are times when complete truth is difficult, and in those moments, the minimum requirement is to not lie. If the full truth cannot be spoken, at least one can refuse to contribute to falsehood. A person who consistently chooses honesty over convenience builds a life that is stable, resilient, and grounded in reality. People often chase what is easy, convenient, or immediately rewarding, but this pursuit rarely leads to anything of lasting value. The temptation to prioritize short-term pleasure over long-term fulfillment is strong because it offers instant gratification with minimal effort. However, the things that bring deep meaning to life, purpose, mastery, integrity, and strong relationships require discipline, sacrifice, and persistence. The difference between a life of fulfillment and a life of regret is whether a person chooses to pursue what is meaningful or simply what is expedient. Expediency is seductive because it provides immediate relief from discomfort. It is easier to avoid difficult conversations than to confront problems head-on. It is easier to procrastinate than to work diligently toward a long-term goal. It is easier to numb oneself with distractions than to face the difficult truths about one's own shortcomings. But these easy choices accumulate, and over time they lead to a life of mediocrity, dissatisfaction, and missed potential. Those who consistently choose what is expedient find themselves trapped in a cycle of short-term fixes, never building anything substantial or worthwhile. A meaning, on the other hand, requires struggle. It demands effort, patience, and the ability to endure discomfort. To build something meaningful, whether it be a career, a relationship, or personal character, one must be willing to suffer for it. The most accomplished individuals are not those who took the easiest path, but those who embraced the challenges necessary to create something valuable. They did not seek momentary pleasure, they sought purpose. And in doing so, they found fulfillment that far outweighs any short-lived gratification. A meaningful life is built through deliberate and thoughtful choices. It involves setting goals that stretch beyond immediate desires and committing to them despite setbacks. It means prioritizing growth over comfort, truth over convenience, and responsibility over avoidance. It requires an understanding that the pursuit of meaning often comes with pain, but that pain is a necessary part of transformation. The most rewarding accomplishments are those that were the hardest to achieve. The depth of meaning in one's life is directly proportional to the sacrifices one is willing to make. Choosing meaning over expediency is not a single decision, but a series of decisions made every day. It is in the choice to push forward when quitting would be easier. It is in the decision to act with integrity when dishonesty would provide a shortcut. It is in the willingness to work, to struggle, and to endure in pursuit of something greater than oneself. The people you surround yourself with influence your thoughts, behaviors, and ultimately your destiny. Whether consciously or not, individuals adopt the habits, attitudes, and perspectives of those they spend the most time with. This is why it is crucial to choose companions wisely. Some people uplift, inspire, and push those around them to be better, while others drain energy, undermine ambition, and encourage mediocrity. A person who associates with those who lack direction, resent success, or refuse to take responsibility will inevitably be pulled down by them. Friendship is not merely about shared experiences or familiarity, it is about shared values. Those who genuinely care about your well-being will challenge you when you are wrong, encourage you when you are struggling, and celebrate your victories without resentment. A true friend is not someone who simply agrees with everything you say or does not hold you accountable. Instead, they push you to improve and become the best version of yourself. Conversely, those who belittle your aspirations, mock your efforts, or subtly discourage your progress do not have your best interests in mind. It is easy to maintain relationships out of habit or a fear of loneliness, but the cost of bad company is far greater than the discomfort of letting go. A person who is surrounded by negativity, cynicism, and complacency will inevitably absorb these traits. It becomes harder to stay disciplined when those around you indulge in laziness. It becomes harder to remain ambitious when those around you ridicule success. It becomes harder to think clearly when constantly exposed to resentment and bitterness. The wrong company makes mediocrity feel acceptable, and mediocrity is the enemy of success. Choosing the right people means seeking those who challenge and inspire you. It means gravitating toward individuals who are striving toward something meaningful, who take responsibility for their lives, and who encourage growth rather than hinder it. This does not mean abandoning those who are struggling, but it does mean being mindful of whether a relationship is constructive or destructive. There is a profound difference between helping someone rise and being pulled down by someone unwilling to change. People often underestimate how much their environment shapes them. The standards, behaviors, and expectations of those around us define what we perceive as normal. If mediocrity is the standard in a social circle, then excellence will seem unattainable. If excellence is the standard, then anything less will feel unacceptable. It is easy to look at the world and point out everything that is wrong: corruption, injustice, incompetence. These problems are real, and they are everywhere. But before attempting to fix the world, a person must first ensure that their own life is in order. Too often, people direct their energy toward criticizing external issues while neglecting the chaos in their own existence. They demand change from society while failing to implement discipline and responsibility in their own daily lives. A person who cannot govern themselves has no credibility in dictating how others should act. Bringing order to one's own life is not a simple task. It requires deep self-reflection, an honest acknowledgement of personal flaws, and the willingness to make necessary corrections. Many avoid this process because it is far easier to externalize blame than to accept personal shortcomings. It is much simpler to protest against perceived injustices than to wake up early, organize one's priorities, and work towards self-improvement. But true influence begins with the ability to control oneself. A person who cannot manage their own responsibilities will never be in a position to guide or improve anything beyond themselves. Personal order starts with the small things. It begins with waking up at a consistent time, keeping commitments, maintaining a clean and structured environment, and developing self-discipline. These seemingly minor actions establish a foundation for greater stability. If someone cannot keep their room in order, how can they possibly handle the complexities of changing the world? If they lack the discipline to take care of their health, finances, or relationships, how can they claim to possess the wisdom to address societal issues? Before attempting to reform others, one must first reform themselves. A well-ordered life also builds credibility. People respect those who lead by example, not those who merely speak about change without embodying it. A person who has mastered themselves commands authority because their actions reflect discipline, competence, and integrity. Those who cannot control their impulses, who live in chaos, and who fail to fulfill their basic responsibilities are in no position to demand accountability from others. If an individual wants to contribute positively to society, they must first establish a foundation of personal strength. The world is filled with disorder, but one cannot impose order externally without first achieving it internally. The best way to improve the world is to start small by setting one's own house in order, by becoming a person who exemplifies responsibility, and by demonstrating the qualities they wish to see in others. Success and meaningful accomplishment rarely come without difficulty. The path to achieving anything of value is riddled with obstacles, setbacks, and discomfort. Many people want to reach their goals but are unwilling to endure the necessary hardship. They seek shortcuts, easy fixes, and immediate gratification, avoiding the discomfort that growth and progress demand. But the ability to endure suffering and remain committed to a purpose is what sets those who succeed apart from those who fail. It is in the willingness to face discomfort, to persist through difficulty, that true growth occurs. The pursuit of something worthwhile, whether it's building a career, creating meaningful relationships, or developing personal character, requires sacrifice. Nothing of value is achieved without effort. The process is often grueling, and there will be moments when the temptation to quit becomes overwhelming. It is easy to give in to the pain and frustrations of the journey, to seek the comfort of giving up. But those who are willing to suffer for their purpose learn that the pain is not an obstacle to success, it is part of the journey. Each challenge faced and each hardship endured strengthens them, building resilience, grit, and determination. Suffering also teaches patience. In the modern world, where instant gratification is the norm, it is easy to forget that some things take time. The best things in life are not given quickly, they are earned over time. Whether it's a skill, a relationship, or a career, the process of achieving something meaningful involves consistent effort and time. The ability to delay gratification, to keep working toward a goal, even when the results are not immediately visible, is a powerful tool for success. It is in this patience and persistence that individuals find true satisfaction because they understand that their achievements are the result of their dedication. The willingness to suffer for what you want creates a sense of purpose. When an individual chooses to endure hardship for a goal, it reflects their commitment to something greater than themselves. It is this sense of purpose that drives them forward even when times are tough. They are not simply going through the motions, they are building something of lasting significance. They endure not just because they have to, but because they believe in what they are working toward. And it is this belief that sustains them when the journey becomes especially hard. The ability to endure suffering for the sake of a meaningful goal transforms difficulty into a source of strength. Thanks for watching.